Hello, this is Nikki in Niagara coming to you from Niagara Falls, Canada. I've had a request from a lovely subscriber if I would show how I use the Crayola crayons and any type of crayon and odorless mineral spirits to create a smooth background like I have done here. So it's very, very simple. This will be a short video, but what you want to do is take your crayon and I haven't used all different brands of it, so you can experiment with different brands of crayon. It will work. Possibly there may be some degree of how well it works with cheaper brands of crayons. But you color it in with the crayon. And you want to use a medium pressure. You should be filling in all the space. Of course, you're going to have that spotting, the white spotting, that's fine. But don't push so that your hand hurts, because you'll get too much wax on the page. But it needs to be colored for the color to show up, because the color that we're going to get is going to be lighter than what we're putting on with the crayons. You can see here this is kind of a lighter shade than this. Not overly, but I would say it is. So you color in like this. You don't want to be pushing hard enough that you get all those flakes of wax. If that's happening, you're pushing too hard. Of course, I've got a few little flakes right here where I'm putting the crayon to paper. But yeah, just color that in nicely. Let's make sure I like how it's done. Don't worry about the white spotting. And then a couple of things that I use here is, first of all, I've made myself my own little container here with a sponge. That's kind of like in Europe, they get this stuff called Citrusol, I think it's called. But anyways, it comes, oh, hairs are stuck to it. It comes with a wetted sponge like this. I've made my own. I took a sponge and cut a circle out of it to fit in here. This is a makeup powder jar that I put it in, and then I filled it up with odorless mineral spirits. Also, I have an empty Copic sketch marker here, and you can use any kind of alcohol marker to do this as well. Any blender one will work when it's empty. Just refill it with odorless mineral spirits. And I use this end of the thing to do my thing with. So this is, it's drying up with the Gamsol that's in there. I need to put some more in. But what I do, if I don't have any odorless mineral spirits, sometimes I'm going to call it Gamsol because it's just shorter. I dip it into my sponge here. Now the tip of your pen, if you're using one of these, is that it will get stained, but when you finish using it, just wipe off on a piece of paper. Here you can see where I did it already. Just wipe off on a piece of paper until it's not showing color anymore. You won't be able to get any color out of it, but you'll see the color on your stained thing. So anyways, we get some of this and we put it on top of the crayon. Now, you don't want to push down hard, otherwise you will remove the pigment. And you'll have, like you can see right here, do you see this little discoloring right here? I pushed a little bit too hard, and I kind of like removed pigment so that it's a little bit splotchy there. Now, of course, you're going to get splotches because your pressure isn't going to be exactly even throughout the whole thing. But you just want to keep wetting something, you can use a Q-tip or a bit of a sponge, or like I say, any blender pen. You can fill it up with odorless mineral spirits. And we're just kind of like gliding across the surface, and we are blending it all together, and we're getting rid of the white splotches. Now, what we see here is not what it's going to look like when it's completely dry. We're going to have to let this completely dry before we get our finished result. First of all, it's going to be a bit tacky. Like, this is wet, so I'm not touching it, but this bit right here, it's a bit tacky. And that's what will happen before it dries. So I'm not going to do all of this on camera. So you can actually see the pigment being moved around on there. I definitely need to refill my container and this. So yeah, just keep doing that. And then you have to let it dry completely. And once it's dried completely, it will be a little bit tacky. So what you want to do is just use your finger and rub over it to get that tackiness off. I guess it's kind of like the oil in your finger and the ridges on your fingerprint there that are going to get rid of that tackiness so that it's nice and smooth. So up here at the top, it's completely dry. I did this, and that's what it looks like. So now this bit right here is still very wet. So I'm not going to rub my finger over that. I have to wait until it dries. So this part right here was already dry, but I hadn't rubbed my finger over it yet. So now it's not tacky at all. I can go down here a little bit too. And that's what it looks like. You can go over it once you've done it. But one thing that you can't do is you can't go back over it. You're just going to slide around. So you can't use gel pens on top of this, as it's just going to slide around. So you could use a Posca on top of it, some paint, acrylic paint, that will work. But don't use your gel pens or anything like that on top of it, because it'll just slide right off of it. So that's all you do. When you're done using your pen, just wipe it on some paper like this until you don't get any more color out. I usually find it sticks to the edges. There we go. See, I'm not getting any more color, but my tip is stained. But there's no more color coming out of that, so I could use like a light pink or whatever I want with it. So that's what I do to make a background on. I do that sometimes on backgrounds, and I do it sometimes in really large areas where I don't want to waste up an alcohol marker going over that whole area. And it matches in very nicely, because here I've done alcohol marker, and they go together very nicely. So that's all. I hope that this was informational for you, and I hope this is what you were looking for. My subscriber who requested this, and thank you for watching. So until next time, bye!